Joel! Move it! Get to the highway! What? Go! You got Sarah! I can outrun him!
Uncle Tommy?
I will meet you there! Hurry!
Sir, there's a little girl. But... Yes, sir.
Somebody, we've just been through hell. Okay, we just need... Shit.
The number of confirmed deaths has passed 200. The governor has called a state of emergency.
There are hundreds and hundreds of bodies lining the streets.
Panic spread worldwide after a leaked report from the World Health Organization showed that the latest vaccination tests have failed.
With the bureaucrats out of power, we can finally take the necessary steps.
Los Angeles is now the latest city to be placed under martial law. All residents are required to report to their designated quarantine. Riots have continued for a third consecutive day, and winter rations are at an all-time low.
A group calling themselves the Fireflies have claimed responsibility for both attacks.
Their public charter calls for the return of all branches of government.
Demonstrations broke out following the execution of 6 more alleged Fireflies.
You can still rise with us. Remember, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. Believe in the Fireflies.
Okay, so going into this project, my initial reaction was, oh, I like The Last of Us. That's a pretty fun and good game. And I also like The Last of Us 2. That's a fun and good game. So let me replay them and write a video on why The Last of Us 2 is a really good game and a really good sequel. And so I did that. I wrote half of a script for why The Last of Us 2 is an amazing game, and I took a bunch of notes as I was playing it. And then I realized that I had a day left, and that this wasn't gonna get done. And that majority of my issues was me being too ambitious, so I'm probably just gonna save it for another day. This project is about showing our appreciation or love for a work of fantasy, and I fully intend to do that. Now, I'm going to try to keep this video spoiler-free, because as much as I doubt people will play it, I really would like it if anyone watching this video tried The Last of Us or The Last of Us 2, or both preferably, but I don't want to ruin any possible experience. Both The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2 are extremely unfiltered, emotional stories, very vulnerable, very out there, and extremely violent as well, but they're both games that are not only thought-provoking, but they're heart-provoking, I guess you could say. Here's why. The Last of Us 1 is about a dysfunctional father named Joel, grieving over, I mean, a lot of things in the zombie apocalypse, but struggling with morality and coping with guilt and loss and sadness and human emotions that you'd expect people to go through and get over, but not something that Joel can get over. Joel is a smuggler in a Boston QZ that the military set up after the zombie apocalypse. Now, these QZs or quarantine zones have extremely strict rules, considering that, you know, if some rules are broken in certain ways, then it could lead to the death of everybody in it because it's during the zombie apocalypse. Understandable, but some of them are extremely strict, like not being able to leave without your papers, and a strict curfew that could warrant death if you're caught violating. Stuff like that. Stuff where no person would or could survive or thrive in, realistically. Joel is tasked with smuggling a little girl named Ellie across the country for reasons unknown to him. he's tasked to do this by the leader of the Fireflies, a rebel organization or militia, depending on who you ask, concerned with rebuilding society after the zombie apocalypse and, you know, the fall of everything. No, seriously, not a single thing in this world is functional. I mean, maybe the guns, I guess, and the jaws of the zombies, but, like, every single, like, piece of infrastructure is either overgrown or completely wrecked or infested with this zombie fungus, because that's how it works in The Last of Us. I don't know, it's kind of weird. And amidst this wreckage and this constant chaos, Joel finds himself aligning, you know? He finds himself investing himself in the world and the horrible things happening into it, and even partaking in a lot of the horrible stuff. So when he meets Ellie, and she really reignites that spark in him to be a good father, and a good man, and a good person again, even in the complete dumpster fire that the world has turned into. You'd think he'd learn, or you'd expect him to learn how to cope, and how to accept the things that he's been through, but he doesn't. See, The Last of Us does this thing really well, where they write characters like people. The Last of Us games are really, really good at convincing the viewer that you're watching people. Characters are consistent. Characters are flawed. Deeply flawed. Characters are realistic. You know, they don't go through things and have a happy little resolution like the end of some Marvel movie. Iron Man doesn't say like a goofy thing at the end and everything's okay. No. The resolution or the conclusion to their character arcs and the things that they go through are just the end. Things end, and then it moves on. It's extremely poetic, and it pulls it off very well, especially in the ending of The Last of Us, which I don't really want to get into because of spoilers, but it's just masterfully done. And everything in the game is so good. I intended to talk about the second game, but as of recording this, the video is 7 minutes and 40 seconds in, and it's 12:30 in the morning, and Jesus crisps, I don't feel like doing that. So, we're just going to talk about the gameplay of the first game. The first game does something that I don't think any other game series has attempted to do, let alone successfully done ever. The Last of Us has a kind of co-op outlook on things, where there are two vessels of navigation, two characters, you know, two sort of different means of puzzle solving, but there's only one player. The player plays as Joel, majority of the time. And Ellie is just somebody else. And you have to work around being only one person, but utilize the other person in ways to solve puzzles. Like, say, a door is locked. Maybe you'd help Ellie over a gate, and then she'd go around and unlock the door for you. Or maybe you'd help her up on top of a ledge, and then she'd drop a ladder down for you to use, and you use the ladder as a bridge. Like, it's so good. And the way that it's structured makes you, as the player, also kind of get attached to Ellie. Kind of get attached to the people that you're with. Because not only are you experiencing the narrative with them, but you could not survive without them. Like, you are dependent on their existence. And, you know, there's a few little, like, quirky lines, little, like, funny character interactions along the way, and things that you just appreciate. And it's just so good. The second game doesn't do that nearly as much, but the second game is a completely different thing that I could get to in a completely different video. But we're nearing the 10-minute mark, and I don't know what the limit is, or I don't know what the thing is, so I'm just gonna do that YouTuber thing where they drag it out for the past, for like the last whatever. Okay, we're done.